All right, ready? All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Matt Langer. I have the honor and privilege of serving as Chief of the Minnesota State Patrol, and we appreciate you coming today for our deployment, or the announcement of our deployment of the body-worn camera program for the Minnesota State Patrol. So we've been eager for this day for a long time. We've put a lot of effort into this, and it comes by way of support legislatively and support from the governor to get the funding that's required for us to do this statewide deployment of body cameras. So what you'll see with these two troopers, Trooper Madsen's been using the body-worn camera for a couple of weeks or more as one of our power users, working out any bugs from the initial deployment. He works in our Hutchinson station within our Mankato district, and then Trooper Fairchild, we pulled out of training just momentarily, just issued his body camera to him not long ago, and he's embarking on the training that's going on right now. So this week we'll have 40 of our state troopers in the Golden Valley district trained and issued the body-worn camera and the new squad video, and we're eager. Troopers have over 400,000 interactions with members of the public throughout the year, statewide, with enforcement action, and the body-worn cameras give us an opportunity to have an undeniable record of what occurred roadside to augment what happens with the squad video system. So again, a big day for the State Patrol, a big day in the history of our organization as we make a monumental leap forward with a great piece of technology. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Other than the units that they're wearing, do no state troopers currently wear body cams?
Correct. We have not had body-worn cameras up until this deployment that came from the legislative appropriation. So we have 20, we call them power users, that got this about a month ago, and they've been using it every day to work out and ensure that we've got all the bugs figured out before we started yesterday with the mass deployment schedule that will go now for the next several months.
Now, has it been a case where you've wanted body cams for quite some time, but there just wasn't the funding available?
We've been tracking body-worn cameras for a long time. One of the things to keep in mind is the 95% of the work of a state trooper is in front of their squad car. And we've had squad video systems for 20 years statewide. So we've been watching this, tracking it closely, and as we all know, it's just become the norm. It's become the public expectation for peace officers to have body-worn cameras. And for us, the only way to do it is by getting the appropriation that has to come from the legislature. So everything came together this last legislative session with great support from the governor to the House to the Senate to get us the appropriation to be where we're at right now.
Any negative pushback or any negative feedback from any of the troopers that are going to be wearing these at all?
That's a great question. No. Troopers have been eager to get body-worn cameras. They like to be able to demonstrate what they're doing and to have that official record. So in the event that some interaction isn't captured by their squad video, the fact that they now have body-worn camera to also capture it is a value added, and they're excited about it.
Do you have a policy as to when you hit the on button? So is that really spelled out with the clarity that like Minneapolis has?
Absolutely. So we have a policy that we worked on and integrated best practices, offered opportunity for public comment, and it's ready to go and it's being implemented. And the long and the short of it is, if they're interacting with a member of the public in some type of enforcement interaction, they need to turn it on. The other thing that we've done is invested in technology. So they have Bluetooth trigger devices in both their taser holster and their sidearm holster. So in the event that either of those are drawn, it automatically triggers the body-worn camera if for some reason it wasn't already activated by the trooper.
Is that in case, I'm sure there are instances where something happens so suddenly, that may not be their first motion to turn on the camera, but to defend themselves or whatever. Is that why that exists?
Exactly right. So in the event that someone comes from behind and then they need to act before turning their body-worn camera on, it's just another way that we can avoid the opportunity for human error to insert and not have something recorded. So we believe in that technology. I think the troopers are really happy about it to give them every opportunity to make sure that the technology is used to capture every event.
In body cameras in general, do they hold everybody accountable, whether it be the troopers or the people they come in contact with, that everybody is going to have their actions captured?
I believe that's absolutely true. So I'd like to think that every single interaction with a state trooper is wonderful. The reality is some of them are more difficult than others. And although we'd like to think every state trooper is perfect, we're also human beings, as are members of the public. So the interaction captured on body-worn cameras will hold everyone accountable, and it'll have a record of what actually occurred between the trooper and the member of the public.
Can we ask them about their experience?
Absolutely.
Just before you do, is this like the other ones that it's always rolling video, and then when you slap it, it's like recorded the last 30 seconds, or is that something that's user specified?
So there is a look back period. It's not recording video or audio until it turns on, and once it's activated, there's a brief look back period for video only. So yeah.
Turns it off. When the call is finished.
Correct.
Does it have to be when they walk inside their car before they turn it off? Or
The policy will state that they're supposed to record, and the policy requires the entire interaction. So sometimes there'll be troopers recording hours and hours and hours of a video if they're out at some incident or a fatal crash. The normal traffic stop just takes a handful of minutes, 10 minutes or less. And again, the expectation in the policy requires that they're recording that entire interaction.
And how long is it saved, that video, since you could record hours of very mundane interactions?
It'll be held according to our retention schedule. So the shortest end of the spectrum in enforcement action will be 13 months that video is retained unless there's a reason to keep it longer. Other end of the spectrum is a fatal crash or some type of use of force will be much longer than that. Some of them are 99 years.
Matt, so storage constraints, I'm assuming that's expensive. Is that part of the legislative grant in this?
So part of the contract that we have with the implementation includes unlimited storage. So we're not bound financially to only have this amount of data when we want to retain this much. So we're erring on the side of retaining as much as we can, knowing that that's the best thing to ensure that we're in a position to be transparent as an agency.
is this cloud-based?
It's stored in the cloud, correct?
So that means all of your other officers around the state, when these troopers coming out doing their stuff at the end of the day, it gets uploaded to the cloud?
That's correct, yeah. Goes actually from the squad car to the cloud, which was another thing that we worked through that's unique about the State Patrol because the troopers don't go back to the office very often, especially in greater Minnesota.
Will the body cam footage be subject to the state's public records law? Will immediately request body cam footage, or what's the law and policy on that?
Exactly right. So there's a specific policy in law related to body-worn cameras worn by peace officers, and we'll obviously obey that.
Can we ask
The synchronization between the squad.
Yeah, so one of the questions we've gotten is, I said our deployment starts today. It's going to go through May of 2022, and sometimes people say, well, geez, that seems like a long time. But one of the key differences for us is at the same time that the troopers are being issued their body-worn camera, they're also having a new squad video system installed or retrofitted into their squad car. That installation takes time, but it's really necessary so that if you have a traffic stop, that the body-worn camera and the squad video are entirely synced together so that we don't have two different videos on two different systems. So that takes time and energy to complete.
If we could ask a question of, do you mind if the trooper, if I ask
Yep.
a question?
Trooper Madson's from our Hutchinson district. Go ahead.
Can you give us your first and last name first?
Madsen, M-A-D-S-E-N, first name Ben.
Trooper, has it taken some getting used to, remembering when you get out of the car before you start an interaction to hit the button, since this, I presume, is new to you?
Maybe a day or two. I mean, it's incredibly easy to use. Like the colonel was talking about, it activates on its own when we make a traffic stop and we activate those emergency lights. And as far as getting used to, hardly any time at all. It's just another piece of equipment that the training's good. And once we go out there and start to use it, it's just like any other piece of our equipment.
Is it something you could also use as maybe a training tool for yourself to maybe see what you could have done differently or whatever on a traffic stop?
That would be up to the training center, but I'm sure they'll use it that way in the future.
I noticed you affirmatively nodding when we were talking about whether there was pushback or not. You seemingly were like, there wasn't pushback. Philosophically, where are you coming from on that?
I guess I just look at it like it's any one of our other tools that we use. We're trained in on it. We know how to use it. And we just go out there and do our job like we always have.
Do you feel like it's a piece of equipment that protects you if something bad happens, in interacting with the public on a call? Do you think that would give you some protection as far as legally?
I think the more documentation, the better. So this helps to document. So
If it starts getting cold and you need a park out there, how will you handle that? Will you have to pull it out and put it back on your other jacket?
Our policy requires the body camera be worn on the outermost layer, so you just put it right in the front of your jacket, just like you see it on the front of the uniform today.
The body cam footage been some type of a tool or evidence? I know that the state patrol is facing lawsuits from journalists who have alleged they were assaulted during coverage of protests and others this past year. I was wondering how body cam footage might have factored in this regard.
Yeah, I really appreciate that question. Without a doubt, I wish that we had body-worn cameras deployed during all of our civil unrest deployments over the past couple of years. I think it helps. It gives a record of what happened, and it leaves little to question about who did what, who said what, who's at fault. At least you have a record. And so that's a big advantage for us in the future. If we find ourselves in a civil unrest situation, the policy requires that the body-worn cameras are activated, to go back to the previous question about holding everybody accountable for their actions and their behavior. So that to me, because of everything we've been through, I'm very thankful for this technology to be used in those environments.
Would there be a policy or practice within the state patrol to proactively review body cam footage to make sure officers are behaving in the most professional setting?
So there's audit procedures within the policy and within implementing this program, including some staff to help with that. But our practice has been to be proactive on that all along. So video systems for the State Patrol are not new at all. It's been part of our culture for many, many years. The implementation or the addition of the body-worn cameras is just a furtherance of our current video culture that we like it. We like things to be recorded. We like that record of what occurred.
The DNR also is getting these and squad cameras for the DNR as well. How does that play into this?
Yeah, my other peers in state law enforcement are a little bit behind us, but they're ready to go on deployment, and I've talked to them this week about it, and they're eager as well to get moving on it, and have been involved with learning from our deployment so that they can go as fast as possible.
Colonel, there'll be state capitol security as well. Can you explain that a little bit about how that might help, especially with all the demonstrations on?
Correct. So you know, forward-facing view of the agency is those of us that wear maroon, and there are a lot of us, but we have commercial vehicle inspectors and Capitol security officers, both of which are non-sworn positions. And our intention is by the end of deployment, they will also all have body-worn camera for the reasons that we think are helpful for us.
Because at the state capitol, especially in recent years, there's a lot of interactions with the public, maybe more so than in the past.
Correct. Yeah. Again, like for reasons that I explained with other questions, I am eager to have body-worn cameras at the Capitol operating in that environment, including our Capitol security officers and our state troopers.
Theirs would be on the only hour shift, right? Or just if something happened,
It'll be depending. Again, if they're involved in a law enforcement interaction, or then it needs to be on. Just walking through the hallways, it wouldn't be on.
how many units do you have to buy? 200, 400 cameras?
Close to 700 total to deploy across all the troopers, which is about 630 right now, 635, plus the CVIs, plus the Capitol security officers. And I haven't been trained yet, so I don't have one on, but everyone will wear one, including myself.
And who's installing the cameras in the car? Is that the mechanics who work on your vehicles, or is that an
Contract vendors.
So how many cars total would that be installed to?
About 657, about 700 probably, including some spares. Yep.
Get some shots of the cameras if the troopers just kind of want to step up to either side of the microphone. They can also detach them and move them up. Would you like that?
Yeah, just to show how portable they are. Because like you said, sometimes Trooper Edson, you'll have to move it to in front of a partner or something. Tell me about how portable it is.
Well, once you mount it on your chest, you shouldn't have to move it unless you're moving it to your jacket. But yeah, you just click it into place. And the magnet mount there should stay like that for the entirety of your shift.
So pretty simple to use, pretty portable.
Yes.
Very.
Have you had the same easy experience with it so far?
This is my first day of training, so this is the first time even putting this on right now. So I'm still learning as we go.
Your confidence of what he didn't quite see would be quite the same.
Shows the training we get, yep.
Anything else?
guys. Appreciate it.
Gonna go.
Just gonna get a tight shot.
Yeah.